Hi, folks. It's Miss Ortiz here, and we are about to start chapter 16 of Harbor Me. The work for chapter 15 was a little tough. I asked you guys to do a lot there. I asked you to not only read and listen, but I asked you to watch that slideshow regarding Trayvon Martin and referencing Tamir Rice, who was the boy that the characters discussed in the book, the boy who was playing in a park and he was 12 and he was mistaken for having a real gun when he actually had a toy gun, and he was killed by police. And then the slideshow I showed you about Trayvon Martin was a 17-year-old boy in South Florida who was killed by a man in his neighborhood because he was looked at as suspicious. And in both cases, they were young men of color. And many people feel like this is something that has been going on in the United States for a long time. Young men of color are unfairly looked at as dangerous when they are not. They are just going about their normal activities. And this is something that the character of Amari in the book feels is really unfair. He sees it directly impacting him. He can't do the things that he wants to do because his parents feel like it's not safe for him, that people are going to misinterpret his actions as dangerous. He's talked about really liking having a Nerf gun, and that's not something that he can play around with anymore. And him and the other characters talk about how unfair that is for them. And they were in the art room when this was happening, so that's where we last left them. Chapter 16. It was 3:15, and we could hear the kids moving through the hall and leaving school, but none of us moved. Then the halls got quiet. It felt like we were the only ones left in the building. Ashton was looking down at his hands. Amari gave me back the recorder and started putting his drawing pad and pens back into his knapsack. I slid the recorder into mine. The door squealed open and Miss Laverne came in. She had this small smile, that grown-up smile that says, "See, I knew this was the right thing." But then she saw that none of us were smiling. "All okay?" she asked. We didn't say anything at first. Then Amari said, "We're good. We were just finishing up." He sounded like a grown-up. "Okay." Miss Laverne looked a little confused. "Be out of here by 3:30 at the latest and have a great weekend." We all said goodbye to her and waited until the door clicked shut. "I think your dad's being unfair," Ashton said. "It's just playing. And plus, the Nerf guns are orange, so it's not like they look real or anything." "That kid that got killed had a toy gun," Amari said. "My pop said it's like we're suspects from the day we're born." Amari and Ashton looked at each other, both of them mad. "Yeah," Holly said. "And what about all the other kids we don't even see on the news? Like my cousin who got stopped on his bike and handcuffed. And he's only 13. He was just riding his bike. But the cops said he fit the description of another kid on a bike. How many black kids ride bikes? Lots." "Something like that happened to my cousin Jonathan," Tiago said. "He lives in the Bronx, and this cop just pushed him when he was hanging out with his boys." They were hanging by those mansions up by Van Cortlandt Park. Guys, that's like not at all far from where we are in the Bronx. "And the cop said they didn't live there, but one of his friends did. Plus, that cop said they were being too loud, but they're teenagers, so duh." "Yeah," Holly said. "Show me some quiet teenagers." "And what about that guy with asthma that they choked?" Amari said. "And that other guy who got beat up by a bunch of cops, and nobody would have known about it if somebody hadn't recorded it on their phone." "It could happen to anybody," Ashton said. "Not just, like, black guys and Puerto Rican guys." Amari stood there looking at Ashton for a minute. Then he just shook his head and put his knapsack on his shoulder. "Show me one time when it was somebody who looked like you, Ashton." "I still think," Ashton started to say. Amari didn't wait for him to finish, though. Just left without waving goodbye. So Amari is really frustrated with Ashton right now. Why do you think that is?